What's up, Internet? Welcome back to another episode 7, man. Coming up on 2 months of doing these live streams, but episode 7, Two Wheeled Nation. So tonight, main topic is going to be talking about Supercross. Supercross is about 3 weeks out, and last week we talked about 450 and predictions, what we thought was going to happen. Some new teams and moves and old riders, etc. And it only makes sense that this week we talk about the 250 class, the East Coast and the West Coast, which in the year of the COVID, or should I say COVID continued, won't really be East and West, but we'll get into that. Before we talk about that, got some news. Interesting news articles. That's one thing I really like about doing this show is when I go out and I do the research for the next stream. A lot of times I learn something I had no idea about. So that's always fun. But you know how we do it here. Before we get to the main topic, before we get to the news, we've got to play our two-stroke intro. If you don't know, if you haven't been around the channel a while, I love two-strokes. And it just kind of sets the mood. Gets the heart rate up a little bit. So let's do it. This is, let me set the scene. This is actually supposedly a garage build of Jason Lawrence's RM250 from his amateur days. So it's a pretty old bike, and I think it's a 2005. But here you go, man. Let's play this footage. This is pretty awesome. Wow, that dude was ripping that track. I'm not sure what track that was, somewhere out in California. Glad people are still out there riding because California's hit really hard with the COVID right now. But, all right, enough of that. Heart rate should be up. People should be in a good mood now. Let's hit the first piece of news. This was wild. This caught me by surprise. I did not realize, but the Volkswagen Group actually owns Ducati. Look at that lower left-hand corner. They own Ducati, and then if you go over to the middle right, they own Lamborghini. And apparently Lamborghini is Ducati's sister company. I guess that makes sense. They're both Italian. They make awesome red machines. It makes sense. They're sister companies. I had no idea Volkswagen owned them. Now, I think Audi, or what I like to call the stupid four rings, which if you've ever seen that TV show here in the United States, it doesn't air anymore. It was only on for a couple of seasons, but it was called Are You Faster Than a Redneck? If you remember that show, anytime an Audi came onto the show, the host would call it the stupid four rings. So that's what I call it. But so Volkswagen, Porsche, that makes sense. I know they go way back. They have history together. One of those companies created the other. I think Volkswagen created Porsche or Porsche created, I don't know. They go together. But Ducati and Lamborghini, I had no idea. But here's kind of something that's a little bit scary. Apparently, there was some consideration inside the Volkswagen Group to sell Ducati. Now, I don't know if that included Ducati's sister company, Lamborghini. But here's a bit of news for you. Rumors had circulated that in June this year, Harley-Davidson was preparing a bid to take over Ducati. I don't know if that was going to be good or bad. But they are hiring Goldman Sachs to work on the deal. That's impressive. They were serious. Hiring Goldman and Sachs, big, huge Wall Street firm, to make a bid on Ducati. Now, maybe it would have been a good thing if Harley was smart and this actually happened. I would like to think they would have left Ducati alone and tried to borrow some of the experience they have in designing stuff for this whole rewire, reborn effort that Harley's got going on. But it didn't happen. They decided to not sell, and here we are. So, next bit of news. This is a really cool motorcycle. This is a Ninja 250. Not sold in the U.S., not sold in Europe as far as I know. Tested by some test riders at a motorcyclenews.com, which is a website, a company in the UK. They always have some great news on their website. It's always one of my go-tos. But this is a Ninja 250. What's cool about this Ninja 250 is it's an inline 4-cylinder. You got to imagine those little pistons spinning up and down so fast. This thing's got to be a screamer. Now, you'll notice in the picture there's a couple of red arrows. Those red arrows are pointing to the headers, or at least portions of the headers that we can see inside this photo. There's at least 3 header pipes coming off of the head that I can see in this picture, hence the 3 different arrows. So we know this is not a parallel twin, which is what the Ninja 250 used to be. They've since upgraded the Ninja 250, and now it's a 300, and they've got a 400 or something or other, and they got 650s. They got all kinds of small, mid-sized displacements. But this would be like in the UK or in Europe, this would be like a learner bike, right? But what's I don't know, what I think is kind of amazing is how well the designs mimic the Big Brother bike. So here's another picture right here. I mean, this thing looks like a ZX6R or a ZX10R. It looks just like a smaller version, which is what it should do. It's what it should be. And it sounds like a smaller version. It's inline 4. It probably revs out at like, I don't know, 20,000 RPMs. I had a 1989 Ninja 250, but it was a parallel twin. It looked nothing like its bigger brothers. I mean, it looked a little bit like the EX500 and the Ninja 600, but it didn't look like the ZX7R, which was Kawasaki's main race bike at that time. That was the bike that I wanted, couldn't afford, obviously. But I'm just really impressed with how well the learner bikes today look and feel and sound like their bigger, badass brothers. So here's a couple of pictures. On the right, that's the Ninja 250 from 1989. That is exactly what my bike looked like, except I ended up painting it green. On the left, the ZX7 from, I think this one's from 1992, so a couple years newer. But these bikes look nothing alike. They sound nothing alike. They don't share frame designs. There's nothing between these two motorcycles that is even remotely similar, except for the sticker that says Ninja and the sticker that says Kawasaki, which, by the way, they're reversed. The Ninja 250's got the Kawasaki sticker up top and Ninja on the bottom, and the 750 on the left is opposite. Didn't notice that till just now. Anyway, that would be a super cool motorcycle if they build that 250, the 4-cylinder one, with the design that they had in that picture I was just showing you guys. Oh my gosh, man, that thing would be a blast to ride. I would definitely ride it. Yo, Cycle Ramen's in the house. What's up, Cycle Ramen? How you doing? Thanks for popping in, man. Appreciate it. All right, so last bit of news that's directly related to the main topic of discussion tonight, which is the 250 class Supercross predictions, and that is Geico Honda. Geico Honda is no more. Not super new news. I think this was known near the end of the motocross season. So, I mean, this is, a few months old, but it's pretty huge, and I think it points to a fundamental flaw in the business model of private teams in Supercross and probably motocross too. But the fact that Geico has pulled out as the title sponsor for what used to be known as the Factory Connection Honda team. So Factory Connection Honda team would run the 250 class bikes, and then Factory Honda would run the 450 class bikes. Eventually, Geico came in as a big title sponsor, dumped some money in there. Clearly, they feel as if they are not getting any return on their investment. I could definitely understand that this particular team is probably somewhat COVID related. I mean, people aren't driving their cars anymore. People are working from home. They're in lockdowns, and they're not driving their cars. I think God, what company was it? I think it might have been State Farm, is actually giving money back to the people that they insure, at least some of them. What a concept, right? Insurance is a big damn scam anyway. But I think this points to a problem, a deeper problem that's not necessarily related to COVID. If you think about JGR, they've been struggling for years. They finally pulled chops and called it a career. They are no longer a team. If you remember not way back, but 2 or 3 years ago, they ran Yamahas. And then whatever deal fell through. Yamaha re-fired up their factory team, and now Yamaha runs the 450s. They're still using satellite teams for their 250 riders, but they run the 450s in-house. JGR switched over to Suzuki. They still struggled, and they finally got to a year where they couldn't come to any kind of budget consensus with Suzuki. Whatever monies Suzuki was offering for JGR to run their team, clearly it wasn't enough, at least in terms of JGR's opinion. So JGR is no more, man. I'm not really sure what Suzuki's doing this year. I haven't really looked to see, but JGR Suzuki's done, man. They're gone. But I think part of the problem is, the fundamental problem with the business model here is Geico needs to make money. Yamaha doesn't necessarily need to make money racing. It's a business expense for them, man. Racing is like it's an advertisement. And this goes for all the factory teams. They don't necessarily need to come out in the black. They don't need to make a profit or make money. They're pushing their product. It's like a commercial on TV when they show up at the races and do good. Sure, they all want to make money, but that's not what they're there for. But when you are a satellite team, you got drink sponsors and insurance company sponsors and food company sponsors and whatever the hell else is out there. You need to make money. You need to make money, and your sponsors need to feel like they're getting something in return. Yamaha, what they get in return, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, KTM, Husqvarna, Red Bull, not Red Bull, Gas. Now that KTM's bought Gas, they're going to be fielding 3 versions of their bikes out there. The money that they're going to make comes from selling their motorcycles. And, man, this racing is probably like a big old tax write-off. Anyway, I could probably have a whole show just about that. Doing good. Glad you're doing good, Psycho Ramen. All right. Pro Circuit, I think, is a good example of exactly what I'm talking about. Like, okay, they're a satellite team, but they may not be a bike manufacturer. However, everything that they do from a business perspective is related to racing. They do suspension work. They do engine work. Hell, my YZ250 two-stroke, I had the head and the cylinder work done at Pro Circuit. Sent it out to them. They did their magic. They sent it back to me. My bike's faster. Yay. They provide support for a lot of the satellite teams, privateers, even some of the other factory teams. They do the engine work. They do the suspension work. So, I mean, they're almost like a bike manufacturer from the perspective of going racing and running the team yourself. It's just business expenses, man. It's business expenses. And, Kawasaki gives you bikes. They give you a little dough to run your operation. You're good to go. All right. That's just my opinion. I know nothing. I'm just a dude making videos. But that's what I think about it. All right, let's get to the main topic. 250 Supercross. This is a weird year, as we all know. COVID is what it is, and the schedule is weird. So, all right. So, for those of you that don't know, you don't follow, you're not an avid fan of Supercross. They break it down into East and West, and usually there's a bunch of rounds on the West Coast in California, Texas, Arizona, and then they have a bunch of rounds over on the East Coast, Virginia, not Virginia, New Jersey, Rutherford, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida. And so you have like legit East Coast and West Coast rounds. That's all screwed up now. So, but they still have an East and West division. I think that's really a good thing, even though it can be kind of confusing, because one night you're watching 250s and there's a group of dudes and you start to recognize them, and then another night there's a whole different group of dudes racing 250s, and you're like, what's going on? What happened to that dude I was watching last week? The reason why I think it's a good thing is because it opens up the doors for a lot more amateurs. The 250 is kind of your entry into Supercross, right? So these dudes racing nationals and other amateur races, 250s is the entry point for Supercross. So by splitting it up between East and West, it gives a lot of guys more opportunities. So that's a good thing, I believe. You can only fit so many people on the gate in a Supercross race because it's inside a stadium. There's only so much room. It's not like motocross. They have the gates in motocross are literally twice as big. So that's why you have East and West. And you're just going to have to ignore the fact that they're going to have a West Coast round or a West Division round on the East Coast this year. It's the way it is with COVID. And maybe one day we'll return to having West Coast rounds in California. But 2021 is not that year, unfortunately. So let's talk about the obvious. The Lawrence brothers. All right. Jett Lawrence won his first 250 motocross national this year at the last round. He was a Geico Honda rider. So think about when that team folds, all those riders, those mechanics, the dude that drove the truck, they all got to find new jobs, man. So the Lawrence brothers are all right. They are such hot commodities that Honda, factory Honda, which runs a 450 class team, has made room for Jett and Hunter Lawrence under the Honda factory tent. So they're going to run their 250s right out of the factory, which, I mean, that's an upgrade for these guys. I don't know what the paycheck looks like from Geico Honda to factory Honda. You'd think it'd be more, but maybe not. Who knows? But as good as Geico Honda was, it's got to be a bit of an upgrade to go from riding under Geico Honda's tent to factory Honda. So I think that team folding might have worked out better for the Lawrence brothers. I don't know. There are still some satellite Honda teams, but they're not going to have the budget and the capabilities of a Geico Honda team. So for those two guys to end up with the factory team, that's pretty sweet. But you got to think that Honda's going to spawn a brain cell and put one of the Lawrence brothers, probably Jett, on the West or in the West division, and Hunter in the East division. Now, probably not that big of a deal because Hunter hasn't gotten the track time and the experience that his younger brother Jett has because he suffered a couple injuries. I think he had a knee injury, an ACL injury. He's had a shoulder injury. It is what it is. So I don't know. We'll see. But if I was Honda, I'd put those two brothers in, one in East, one in West, just because if Hunter hits it off, who knows? Maybe you bring two titles back to the factory Honda tent, one with Jett in the West, one with Hunter in the East. Just saying, it could happen. Probably not likely though. But the Lawrence brothers, they've got to be favorites, especially Jett coming into 2021. They're obvious picks. Austin Forkner, man, I don't know what to think about this dude. Austin Forkner, I thought he was going to win the title in 2019. He probably thought that. Everybody probably thought that. These are the results from Supercross in 2019. Starting from the bottom up, February 9th, first round for the East Coast. This is when the East Coast rounds were fairly east. He wins. He wins Minneapolis, wins Arlington, Texas, wins Detroit, Michigan. Then they go to Atlanta. Now you'll notice it says 250 Supercross Showdown. So a couple times a year during the season, they'll take the East riders, they'll take the West riders, they'll combine them in the same race, and the guys will meet up, like I said, a couple times a season and race each other. So it says he got third place. What actually happened is Adam Cincerillo and Dylan Ferrandis, who have both since moved up. Adam Cianciarulo moved up this year to the 450s, and Dylan was moving up this year for 2021 season. He got hurt, so he's either not going to ride Supercross or he's going to join late. We'll see how that injury recovery goes for him. But those two guys were racing the West, and in 2019 they were 1 and 2. So one of my criticisms on Austin Forkner in the years past is he doesn't make mature decisions. His first few years, he was full of emotion, really cocky and full of himself, and he just makes dumb decisions on the track, leaves himself open to retaliation, puts really rough passes on people, which just makes enemies on the track, and it just all kind of came back to him, man. But he was out in front. Dylan Ferrandis catches him. Adam Cianciarulo catches him. He doesn't try and battle with him. He kind of just lets him go, and he realizes that, you know what, third in that particular scenario is a win because he's ahead of everybody that's in his division. So as far as the points towards the championship go, he made a really smart decision. I thought, wow, man, this kid, he's finally starting to realize how to win a championship. He's making smart decisions, right? So he goes on a 3-win streak, gets third, essentially winning that race in his division, and then he wins 2 more. So I mean, he's basically got 6 wins in a row. He's won every single race, and I mean, he's a great starter. He's always out front early. He's fast. I was like, man, there's no way this championship is his. And then we could see in East Rutherford, New Jersey, I've got this blocked off here with a little red highlight, 22nd. That's basically last place. Now, I don't think that this was his fault in terms of him making a bad decision. I think this was just a freak mistake, but found some video footage. I remember watching it in real time because it's hardly a race goes by that I miss, but yeah, I had to go to the archives. I found somebody who recorded this off their TV, so let's go take a look and see what happened to the kid. Firing up the video. I don't think there's any sound, but basically you're going to see him come into a whoop section and get a little squirrely, riding the rear wheel, then kind of loses his balance, tips to the left, and he'll put his foot down to try and keep from falling over, but he's just going too fast, and it just all goes wrong for the kid. Let's take a look. So there he goes, and then he gets on the rear wheel, boom, puts his foot down right there, and that was it, man. That knee was like, nope, off to the track. Oh, I really don't think the knee injury came from the crash after he lost control. I think it was when he put the foot on the ground, but man, you just had to feel bad for the kid because he won everything up until that point, and there was 2, maybe 3 races left in the series. He didn't even need to win anymore. All he had to do was like top 5, and it would have been fine, man. He would have won the championship. So we'll see. He had a similar experience this year. Did fairly well, not as well as he did in 2019. We'll see what happens, but he's got to be a title favorite. I'm not sure what coast he's going to ride. He rode this was East in 2019. He rode West last year. We'll see. I kind of hope he goes back to the East, but it should be quite interesting to see what happens with this kid. I think with the injuries, he'll be maybe even more mature than he was this year in 2019, but like I said, we'll see. We'll see what happens. As far as like rookies, there's a couple rookies coming in. This kid kind of caught my attention. Maximus. What a freaking cool name, man. Maximus. He's got his own website. He is Maximus Vohland. He's turning pro this season, riding for KTM. In this picture, he's riding a 125. That's interesting. Out of California, 16 years old, born in 2003. Damn, I'm getting old. 5'11", 134 pounds. That's light for 5'11", which is good, I guess. He's got 5 Loretta Lynn championships. Not bad. Look at this kid, man. He's got his own merch. Look at this hat, t-shirt. This kid's going somewhere. That's a really cool graphic. The Roman helmet. I think Maximus was, I don't think he was an emperor, but he was like a really awesome general that kicked ass. So that's a even cooler name. But he's got like this Roman style helmet with goggles, dude. That's a really cool logo. Wow. Kid's going places. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Supercross, but I'm anxious to see this kid race. I don't know what round or what division he's racing, East or West. But whoa, what was the team's name? Troy Lee Designs used to run the 250 class riders for KTM. That is no more because Troy Lee Design is switching to Gas Gas. This is Gas Gas's first year. In case you haven't seen one of my previous live streams, Gas Gas is really just a red KTM. So not much is really going to change. It's just a brand change. However, that works for this kid Maximus because that means Red Bull KTM, the factory KTM team, they're going to bring in this rookie. He's not just a rookie; he's brand new. They're going to bring in Maximus under the factory tent. That's got to be damn cool for him. Maximus riding under factory Red Bull KTM tent. I say tent, but really they're big ass 18 wheelers with all kinds of goodies everywhere. Anxious to see what this kid does. I don't know if he's any good. It's got Loretta Lynn championships. That's pretty damn good. Yeah, let's remove that. All right, last but not least, let's go through some of the honorable mentions. So Monster Energy, Star Racing, Yamaha. They've got Jeremy Martin. And we've got Colt Nichols. Christian Craig. Christian Craig is one of those riders that is good, fast, gets good starts. But he was a Geico Honda guy who's switching over to Star Racing. You know, realistically, for the championship, you've got Jeremy Martin, Colt Nichols, Justin Cooper. Those guys are going to be up front. They're going to be fast. Colt Nichols doesn't consistently have the pace of the fastest dudes out there, but he'll do well. He's won races. He's led lots of laps. I don't see him having the intensity to go the full length for the championship. I really feel like it's going to be Jeremy Martin, Christian Craig at the end of it. Dylan Ferrandis moved up to the 450s, so he's won the championship the last 2 years. Chase Sexton won the championship the last 2 years. Both of those guys are on 450s in 2021, so that leaves a lot of room for everybody they've been beating for the last couple of years. But yeah, you know, I got to think Justin Cooper is going to be my favorite on the Energy Star Racing Yamaha. Jeremy Martin's been around a while. He's getting long in the tooth. Colt Nichols, like I said, I just don't think he's got the speed and intensity every round. All right, moving on. Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Austin Forkner, we just talked about him, so he's got to be the heavy favorite of all the riders out there because he's been so close. He's been so good. He's just got to stay healthy. Jordan Smith, Cameron McAdoo. I don't see any of these guys win the championship, man. It's Austin Forkner's year. It's got to be. Seth Hammaker. He is a rookie. He's turning pro in 2021. Don't know anything about him. We'll see. We'll see. All-Star Super Mini. So in some of the amateur races, Monster Energy Cup, he's gotten 4th, 1st, 9th, 21. Not super impressive, but he did win on a KX 250. So we'll see what he does. That should be interesting. He's from Bainbridge, Pennsylvania. Wow. So, you know, there's a couple other honorable mentions. Garrett Marchbanks, he's had a few good races his last season or two. And then, you know, you start walking down the list, you got guys like Chris Blows, Mitchell Falk. Good riders, none of these guys are going to win the championship. There's a whole bunch of dudes that would have to exit stage left for them to win the championship. But I definitely think Justin Cooper and Austin Forkner, they're going to be some of your main dudes along with the Lawrence brothers, particularly Jett Lawrence. Hunter's had a lot of injuries. He doesn't have the seat time that his younger brother has obtained the last couple of years. So looking forward to it. I'm kind of Slightly disappointed. The 250 field is just not quite as deep as the 450 field or the 250 field in years past. Back when Dylan Ferrandis and Adam Cincerillo were racing the 250s, a little bit more depth in the field. All right, guys, it's about that time. It's time to cue the outro music, and that's what we're going to do right now. If you happen to be browsing the internet and are bored, go check out monkeybuttrides.com. We've got things like merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, stickers. I'm going to be adding some hats soon. There's contact information. You want to follow me on social media. There's my Instagram and Twitter links. And check it out. A little bit of info about the bikes that I have and different projects going on. And of course, this YouTube channel. That's it. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week, hopefully, everybody. Same time, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tool Nation. Don't know what episode 8 is going to be, but I'm going to try to do something big because that'll be 2 months. 2 months of streaming. Cool. Look forward to it. Hopefully, we'll see everybody there. And till next time, keep the rubber side down, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.